I said that point 2 is fulfilled because you need either 1, 2, or 3. I think that they are intimidating or coercing a civilian population. I think that they are trying to influence policy of the government by intimidation. You only need one of those 3. No. I said I don't think that they're in it for assassination. I don't think they're in it for mass destruction. And I don't think they're out to kidnap people in Burns, Oregon. That's all I said.
Oh, so you don't think any of those things are part of the plan?
I don't think so at all, and here's why I don't think so. I think that Ammon Bundy is the conservative equivalent of Occupy Wall Street. I don't see a difference between...
You crazy?
Well, listen, JC, we are a part of the culture.
Wait, come on, man.
JC, don't make me mute you, man. Come on, let me make my point, and you can go after me all you want.
Oh, you're going to do that's an MSNBC move. You're going to mute me because I disagree with you?
I am not going to mute you. I'm saying let me make my point, and then you can retort. I'm looking to be civil with you, my brother. Come on now. Here's what I'm saying.
Go ahead, Jim. Go ahead.
Here's what I'm saying. I think the definition fits just as well for Occupy Wall Street. Involve acts dangerous to human life that violate federal or state law. I think what they did in Zuccotti Park and across the nation violate state law. 7,700 arrests. No arrests so far in Oregon or even, in other areas that are sympathetic. Appear to intimidate or coerce a civilian population. I was down at Zuccotti Park. I didn't feel safe. Influence policy by intimidation or coercion. Absolutely. I mean, come on. And occur primarily within the United States. The only difference between the two is that the culture in the rancher life and the culture in the urban life differ in this way. Guns are a part of your livelihood legally there. I don't judge ranchers for having guns. I've never been there and I have no frame of reference. But I don't see the difference between Occupy Wall Street and these guys. Should they be taking over a federal property? No. But I think we've had protests that have been a lot worse in other places. You go ahead, JC.
Gene, I think it's a really weak. I mean, I don't agree with the Occupy Wall Street folk. I think that I was very angry at a lot of the things they were doing. But let's be honest. You want to close down a park and do sit-ins and do protesting outside of Wall Street, and you're going to compare that in any way whatsoever. So what's happening here, it's identical to what happened in Ruby Ridge. It's identical to happen every time a bunch of these guys that call themselves ranchers, that get guns together, they recruit people against the government, and they take over buildings, and they try to destroy things. We put them together, we call them militias, and we somehow are going to make that the equivalent. We're going to put them in the same in the same category as a bunch of guys, college students, college graduates, people that are upset with Wall Street, that are protesting Wall Street outside, and we're going to ignore the fact.
Whoa, Jason, you know as well as I do.
You can't compare it.
You can't compare it because both movements are co-opted by groups. Okay, the Occupy Wall Street movement, I was down there all the time. I saw the Communist Party down there, Revcom.com. Come on, I saw them down there, too.
These guys have guns, Gene. These guys have guns.
So the only difference is these guys have guns.
Oh, come on.
So the only difference is these guys have guns.
Irani Rodriguez from Washington Heights, Sumani Williams from Brooklyn, marching with freaking Occupy Wall Street folk, protesting Wall Street.
The Revolutionary Communist Party was there too, JC.
But Gene, you made the comparison.
And they got co-opted.
They're not saying people are going to die. But they're not going to say people are going to die, man. They're not saying if anybody comes here, we're going to have some lives lost. You can't make that.
Of course they said people were going to die. They were talking about killing cops. They were talking about killing cops.
Talking about killing cops. Gene, hold up.
Occupy Wall Street was talking about killing cops. Black Lives Matter movement was talking about killing cops.
You cannot look at a movement like Occupy Wall Street, which I'm not here to defend because I do not agree with their positions. And you cannot look at these movements and make them the equivalent of what's happening out in Oregon. And you cannot even fathom a life where these things are equal in any way whatsoever. As a matter of fact, let's be honest. This whole year, Gene, I have sat here and watched the Black Lives Matter movement and the Justice League movement do their protests across the country for what they perceive to be an attack on unarmed African Americans by the police. Now, I have to tell you, I am the last guy that you're going to have on your program to use the race card on anything. I just don't agree with it. I think that the race card should be something,
you never do.
Gene, it's something that should be kept like a fire extinguisher, only break in case of emergency. Okay?
Agreed.
And if I'm trying to resist arrest and I'm struggling with a cop to get his gun and I get shot, that's not racism. If I apply for a job and another guy gets it and he's qualified, guess what? That's not racism. So let's be clear with your listeners. I'm not that guy. But
no, absolutely right, and I will vouch for that. I will vouch for that right now on air.
For this entire year, Gene, I have seen nothing but many of my students that are peaceful, peaceful. And I have seen people like Tamika Mallory that are peaceful. I got to tell you, they're peaceful people that I disagree with, that have decided that they want to protest what they consider to be an attack on African Americans, unarmed African Americans by the police. I have seen countless National Guard, local police, tanks, helicopters, national media. I have seen OMG reaction by local government against unarmed people, many of my students, because they are protesting peacefully, something that I approve of. The protest of peacefully is okay. And I have seen these people on television being called thugs. I have seen these people put under arrest. I have seen these people be treated as if they are the biggest anarchists in the world. And all of us have seen that all year long, which is why I'm very concerned as to what I'm seeing now, Gene. When I see guys that are on my team look at what's happening in Oregon and not say to themselves, wow, this governor is really not going to call in the National Guard. Just 2 weeks ago, Gene, at the America's Mall, we had people lined up to protest peacefully. Hundreds of National Guard officers and machine guns showed up to a bunch of young African-American, Hispanic, white, all the people together that wanted to protest police brutality, or what they perceived to be police brutality. And we saw that on the television. We continue to call them thugs, and we continue to attack them as being crazy, and I can't believe this is happening. At the same time, we are watching a bunch of guys that consider themselves a militia when they're nothing more than a gang. Militias are state-sponsored, by the way. And these guys have been protests to the government and wanting to change government, have taken over a building that belongs to you and me, Gene. And they said, if anybody comes to us, we will make sure their lives are lost. And the whole school system is closed. County courthouses are closed. And we're not even really looking at these guys as if they're a problem. We're actually defending them. And it's a problem to me to see we lose credibility with voters, especially in New York, when Republicans like you and I and guys that follow your page and listen to your show can't see the realities of what's happening. The perception is terrible. The perception is a racist one. And it's not that you guys are racist. You guys that agree, and I'm not saying it's not that you guys are racist. I think that by not viewing it, it could be seen as racist. By not viewing it through the prism of reality, we are losing credibility. And as Republicans in New York and as right-of-center people, we have to be conscious of what's going on in Oregon.
I agree with you that perception is reality. And listen, JC, I don't want you to miss your next appointment because it's getting to that time. Thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate your point of view. I agree with a lot of things that you say. I hope you listen to, after you hang up, you listen back on podcast at www.behindthenylinesradio.us, and you hear what I have to say about this, but I know you have to get to another appointment. Folks, JC Polanco, check him out. Go to his website, www.jcpolanco.com. Check him out on Univision 41. And, man, have a great show. Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate your perspective on this.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate you coming on.
All right. Take care, bro. Good to talk to you.
Take care.
And that was JC Polanco, who is, listen, he's a great friend, and I appreciate everything he had to say. I think I'm taking more of a devil's advocate point of view here because I think I see the frustration of these people a little better than JC does, because you cannot put an urban perspective on what's going on in Burns, Oregon. He kept harping on people with guns being in this place. He kept harping on that they're armed, that everything's shut down. This is not New York City, folks. This is a rinky-dink little town in Oregon that I still can't find on a map. And guns are a way of life for many of these people. I don't think it's the guns that are intimidating people. I think the issue is you have someone like Ammon Bundy, whose family has close to a 30-year-long rivalry with the federal government, looking to get some awareness and attention for his issue and doing it the wrong way. The Hammond family has publicly said that they don't speak for us, these ranchers who have taken over this building. Presidential candidates like Ted Cruz and Jeb Bush and John Kasich and others have come out and condemned him for what they do at this facility. But then I gotta think the word terrorist is a little strong. Because while it may fit the textbook definition of what a terrorist is, I think we all know terrorism when we see it. And to be a terrorist, I believe there's something left out of that definition that's in the federal laws, and that's the word malice. There has to be a malicious intent for a terrorist to kill, to maim, to harm. I mean, listen, I have friends who are lobbyists and go up on the Hill and advocate for positions. They almost meet the definition of terrorist if it wasn't for the type of coercion and intimidation that would be necessary to meet that point. But that's patriotic to do, to go petition people and try to influence policy. But if this culture has guns in it, then you know what? Maybe we need to be a little more understanding of that, not call them terrorists. And my final thought on this topic before we hit our break is pretty simple. I think escalating violence will not solve anything here. Escalating violence in Zuccotti Park didn't do anything. If you remember, you had to tell them that they wanted to clean the area to get them out of the park and then keep them out. Violence begets violence. I don't think that these ranchers are armed to kill. Do I think they're armed to defend? Yes, and I think by going after them, you're going to be playing right into their hands. It's a very complicated situation. But the thing I want to tell all my listeners out there is, don't take my word for it. Don't take JC's word for it. Think and research for yourself. There is a lot of great information out there that you can find, read, interpret, and form an opinion on. We're going to take a quick break here. I want to thank everybody for listening to the show. When we come back, we're going to be talking about media hypocrisy with Dan Gaynor. We're going to go behind some enemy headlines here with Newsbusters and the Media Research Center. Gene Berardelli, Behind Enemy Lines. We'll be back right after this.
I'm Vito.
And I'm Vito. And we're from WNJC's The Vito and Vito Show.
Every Friday at 1 p.m., you can hear Vito and Vito bring you the perspectives of two college-age millennial conservatives who are committed to defending the principles of free markets, liberty, freedom, and individualism from Brooklyn, New York.
Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Vito and Vito Show. And check out our blog posts and articles at vitoandvito.com.
Vito and Vito Show every Friday, 1 p.m. on WNJC 1360 AM, Philadelphia's Renaissance Station. In Brooklyn,
it's nothing but the truth.
There's a movement in healthcare today. It's a movement of people that's ready to stand up and take charge of their healthcare. It's people like you and me who are tired of paying too much for healthcare and getting too little. People who are standing up for their values and letting their conscience make decisions based on timeless principles. It's a movement that's sweeping the nation, and you need to be a part of it. Liberty Health Share is leading the movement of people who are looking for an alternative to traditional health insurance. Liberty Health Share is a healthcare sharing organization of people who are sharing the cost of healthcare in an easy and efficient way. Choose your own doctor, your own hospital, and live out your values in healthcare. Join the movement. Together, we're changing healthcare for good. Go to www.joinlhs.com or call 800-722-8041.
Who might you save?
Your mother, your father, your husband, uncle, aunt, son.
Learn FAST, F-A-S-T, the sudden signs of a stroke, and you could save.
Your friend, teacher, boss.
F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. F-A-S-T. That's F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. The sooner they get to the hospital, the sooner they'll get treatment. And that can make a remarkable difference in the recovery of
your neighbor, the waiter, grandmother, grandfather.
So learn FAST, the sudden signs of a stroke, then pass it on, because you never know who might save you.
Your wife, your colleague.
Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
Behind Enemy Lines. Back on the air. Gene Berardelli, back behind enemy lines, and on the line with me right now, it's that time of the month again. No, not that. Dan Gaynor, Newsbusters, how you doing, pal?
Oh, I'm doing pretty well. You're getting the better version of me. If you got me yesterday or the day before, I was in a lot of pain from a dental problem. So,
oh man,
as you can see, you're not getting me when I was undergoing dental Tourette's.